Now, the next match on the Bash card featured Ole and Arn Anderson, at the time calling themselves the new Minnesota Wrecking Crew. This was essentially the third incarnation of the famous Anderson family team, and they came in as the reigning NWA National Tag Team Champions, titles that were historically tied to the old Georgia territory.
Quite right. To provide a bit of background, when Vince McMahon bought the TBS time slot in 1984, Ole Anderson left in protest and launched Championship Wrestling from Georgia. That show aired at 9 o'clock in the morning on TBS. Ole, of course, had been a star in the Carolinas and also began assisting Dusty Rhodes in booking, which led to more Georgia talent blending into Crockett's shows. The national tag team titles, carried by Ron Garvin and later the Andersons, were featured heavily on the TBS broadcast until the eventual buyout.
And the feud leading into the Bash was intense. You know what? The Andersons had targeted Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, and when they went after his younger brother Brett, trying to injure his eyes no less, that crossed a line. Dick Slater stepped in to back up Sawyer, making it a deeply personal battle. Brett cut promos about how you can heal an arm or a leg, but if you lose your eyesight, that could be permanent. That set the stage perfectly. Two of the toughest baby faces in Sawyer and Slater going up against Ole and Arn, who were as ruthless and calculated as any team in wrestling.
Buzz Sawyer was no stranger to Atlanta wrestling fans. Just a few years earlier, in 1981, he had that infamous Last Battle of Atlanta, the bloody cage match blow-off with Tommy Rich at the Omni. Sawyer nearly left Atlanta, but he just switched sides, and by the time of the Bash, he turned babyface.
And let's be candid, gentlemen. This particular contest was not for the faint of heart. Arn Anderson, though the youngest and most polished in terms of mechanics, was in there with three men who were, shall we say, very physical workers. Ole Anderson, Buzz Sawyer, and Dick Slater all had reputations for being crowbars. If you like what the modern audience calls a slobber knocker, this was precisely that sort of match.
Speaking of Arn, he's such an interesting case. He was in his 20s here, but he always looked like he was 40. It's part the receding hairline, part that stocky build, and part the way he carried himself. He never really had youthful years in his look, just straight to grizzled veteran. In fact, some folks joke he looked older here in 1985 than he did when he retired 10 years later at 37. And Ole, same thing. He always looked like a grizzled veteran, no matter the year. That made the Andersons perfect foils for Sawyer and Slater in this Georgia-flavored feud. One Dusty may have let Ole steer the booking on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Great American Bash. The following contest is scheduled for one fall with a 30-minute time limit, and it's for the NWA National Tag Team Championship. Ole and Arn Anderson, the champions, are already in the ring, looking confident, and here comes their challengers, Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer and Dirty Dick Slater. Listen to this ovation.
Indeed, Joe, you can feel the electricity. We've got nearly 30,000 people here in Charlotte, and the atmosphere is absolutely. This is a huge tag team grudge match. The Andersons, Ole and Arn, are as cunning a pair of champions as you'll find, and they're up against two of the toughest brawlers in the sport in Sawyer and Slater.
There's bad blood brewing here. Binks, Ole and Arn Anderson have been running roughshod over the tag division for months, using every trick in the book to keep those titles. Buzz Sawyer and Dick Slater are no saints themselves, but tonight, these fans are firmly behind them. They want to see the Andersons get their comeuppance.
Sawyer immediately powers back into the corner.
Sawyer showing that raw power early. Beautiful sequence by Buzz Sawyer showing he can wrestle as well as brawl. Sawyer is wisely slowing the pace, perhaps surprising the Andersons with some technical acumen.
You're right, Gordon. Sawyer's usually the mad dog unleashed, and all fury and chaos. But he's come in with a smart game plan. They're cutting the ring in half now. Isolate. This is textbook strategy. Talk about him. They want to trap one man and dismantle him piece by piece.
Pulls arm out, drops a heavy elbow, targeting that arm, folks, is in trouble.
This is the Andersons' specialty. They have picked a body part, and they are dissecting it. Ole and his brother Gene did this for years, and now Ole and Arn continue the Anderson family tradition of relentless focus.
Trying to fight out of this predicament, the crowd rallies behind him.
Here comes Dirty Dick Slater like a house of fire. Slater with a big right hand.
Slater is cleaning house. The challengers had enough of the Andersons' dirty tactics. Listen to this crowd, Gordon. They are on their feet. Nearly 30,000 strong are loving this momentum shift.
Slater has single-handedly turned the tide. He's an unpredictable brawler, and the Andersons are regrouping on the outside, conferring with each other. They did not expect this kind of fight from Slater and Sawyer at this juncture.
Gingerly rolls back in at the count of 7.
And just like that, regained control. Sawyer is like a man possessed right now, a true mad dog off the leash. Arn Anderson charges in, but Sawyer tackles him.
Buzz Sawyer has exploded here. The referee is trying to get one man from each team in there, but Sawyer is cleaning house by himself. Leaps for the diving splash. Nobody home. Rolled away at the last split second and hits the mat hard.
That miss might cost. He took a chance and it did not pay off. Slater and Ole are slugging it out on the apron. Slater just rammed Ole's head into the ring post.
We've got chaos all around. Stirring in the ring now. Charges with that flying forearm. He connects. Is down.
What impact, flat on his back. The cover, we could have new champions right here. Ole slips back in the ring behind Buzz. More look out. Ole Anderson from behind with a running elbow drop to the back.
Oh, come on. The referee didn't see that at all.
Not like this. Referee drops to count. 1, 2, 3. It's over, and the Andersons have stolen it.
Ole with that cheap shot elbow to Slater's skull. Ole Anderson pins Buzz Sawyer after that unseen elbow to the head, and the Andersons retain the title. What an incredible match, marred by a controversial ending.
Official time of the match was roughly 10 minutes, and it was 10 minutes of fierce tag team wrestling. The champions Ole and Arn Anderson will leave with the gold, but not without controversy.
The crowd here is livid. Listen to these boos raining down. They saw Buzz Sawyer and Dick Slater give it everything, only to be cheated at the end. Sawyer had Arn pinned after that flying forearm. It could have been a 3 count had the ref not been diverted.
Absolutely, Tony. Sawyer and Slater came in with a heartbeat of victory. They took the Andersons to the limit, but Ole and Arn once again used those underhanded tactics to survive, as they've done so many times before.
Like it or not, that's why Ole and Arn Anderson are still the national tag team champions. They're masters of ring awareness, bending or outright breaking the rules when the referee is distracted. It's devious, but undeniably effective.
You have to give credit. They may be rotten scoundrels, but the Andersons are as tough and savvy as they come. Ole's experience and Arn's intensity, that combination carried them tonight. You mentioned historical context earlier, Gordon. These two have all the makings of an all-time great tag team. Mark my words, fans will be talking about the Andersons' dominance for years to come.
What a war we just witnessed. Sawyer and Slater pushed the champs to the brink in front of this massive Charlotte crowd, but ultimately, Ole and Arn Anderson emerged victorious here at the inaugural Great American Bash. They retained the National Tag Team Championships by pinfall in the end.
It was as real and rough as it gets, and a pure tag team psychology on display, isolations, hot tags, and unfortunately blatant cheating. And in the record books, it'll show a pinfall win for the Andersons, but everyone here knows Buzz Sawyer and Dick Slater deserve better.
I have to agree. Slater and Sawyer can hold their heads high. They fought with heart and fire. But the champions proved why they hold those belts. They found a way, by hook or by crook.
This outcome might be controversial, but what a match it was. On tag team wrestling at its finest with a dose of 1985's trademark chaos. These 4 men gave us a fight to remember.
No doubt about that. It was a hard-fought contest from bell to bell. The Andersons used every trick, and in the end, that was the difference. It's a bitter pill for Slater and Sawyer, but something tells me this issue isn't over. They'll be looking for payback.
Fans, we just witnessed a piece of wrestling history here in Charlotte. An unbelievable tag team battle that blended brute force, technical strategy, and sheer drama. This is what the Great American Bash is all about.
Oh, the most boring match on the card, huh? Yeah, nothing says excitement like 4 guys who all look like your dad's bowling lead showed up with a grudge.
Indeed. And Buzz Sawyer's the JBL of his day? That's less a compliment and more like putting world's okayest bully on your resume.
Well, at least we know the Andersons went on to bigger things with the Horsemen later, because in this match, let's face it, they looked less like enforcers and more like the guys who show up to repossess your Chevy Citation.
Exactly. And in clip form, this match was pretty good. Yeah, translation in real time, it was like watching paint dry on a cloudy day. Indoors.
And yet, here we are, treating this like an epic. Somewhere Dusty Rhodes is probably shaking his head saying, "That's not the dream I had in mind, baby."
You know what? The best thing about this match is that it eventually ends. And honestly, the crowd might have popped harder for that than anything Buzz or the Andersons did in the ring.